I'm sure we can all agree, there's really nothing quite like playing a good Jackbox game with friends. I don't feel like I need to tell you how influential and popular Jackbox really is. Jackbox is probably my all-time favorite party game series. Each pack has its set of solid and really great games. However, I feel like most people will buy 1 or 2 packs and then just replay the minigames from those games. From my experiences, Party Pack 3 and 4 are the most common ones, alongside the occasional Party Pack 7. Other than those, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of this series, despite owning most of the games on Steam and or Switch. And to be fair, it makes sense. Like when I'm with friends on call, or God forbid in person, I feel like nobody in the room is willing to take a chance on a game we've never heard of or played before, and would rather boot up Quiplash once again. But you know what? Screw it! Today we're gonna painstakingly go through all 10 Jackbox party packs and review and rank each game one by one. Now there's 10 party packs, each of them having 5 games in total. So, in total, we're going to be reviewing 50 games. Jesus Christ. Oh dear God. Well, it looks like I got my work cut out for me. My name is Melany, and today we're going to be reviewing and ranking every single Jackbox party pack game, starting with the first game of the series. The series originates from being a pack of a bunch of mobile games made from Jackbox Games, at a time known as Jellyvision Games. And well, fittingly, the first game on display here is a reboot of one of Jellyvision's classic games. So here we are, You Don't Know Jack 2015. I don't like this game much, so how does this game work? Well, it's a trivia game where they'll ask questions in a comedic fashion. Doing well in the game will earn you some cash, doing not so well will make you bleed. The game also features a mechanic called screwing. Basically, during the game, you can force another player of your choosing to take on harder questions. Okay, so there's a lot of things about this game I don't like. One I really don't like is how hard this game tries to be quirky and funny. Future games in the Party Pack series will just simply play a quick transition between rounds. But You Don't Know Jack has these long, drawn-out PS1-esque cutscenes that are trying way too hard to be quirky, when chances are you're just gonna want to skip it and get to the game. 2. For a trivia game trying to be silly and unique with its phrasing, maybe it was just me and my group, but a lot of the time we couldn't really make out what they were really trying to ask. Like, some of the questions were clear, like this one here is asking about what comes before a renaissance. But other questions, we just genuinely had no idea what was being asked of us. And 3, the controls. Yes, I am complaining about the controls in a Jackbox game. Obviously in a Jackbox game, you just connect your phone online to play. And for a trivia game, you'd expect selecting your answer to be straightforward. You know, just display the answers you can choose on screen, just tap the one you want. What actually happens in this game is that the screen fucking emulates the buttons on a controller with these buttons you can select. Why? This may not seem like a major issue, but honestly this really messed up our gameplay session. Many times, some of us would just accidentally select the wrong option, especially when it came time to screw another player. Also, for some reason, this game only supports 4 players, and from playing it, I really failed to understand why this couldn't have supported more players. I had to have some players sit this game out, in which they ended up being really thankful to skip this game in the end. You Don't Know Jack 2015 really didn't jive well with my group. It was slow, obtruse, and felt really stuck in the past for being the first Jackbox party pack game. Maybe it's just my friends and I who didn't jive well with this game, as I feel like I've always heard this game being in high regard. But for now, it's going to the top of the rankings, but I doubt it's gonna stay there for long. Now here's a good one. Fibbage hasn't always been one of my favorites, but it's always been a very solid option. So in Fibbage, the game will ask a trivia question. Then you have to input into a text box a false answer that will hopefully trick the other players into thinking they're the right answers. That's really it. It's very simple, but it gets chaotic and fun. I feel weird that I don't have more to say on this game, but hey, I suppose in this case, it's a good thing after the last game not jiving well with me and my friends. This is going far above You Don't Know Jack 2015. Okay, this is one of my favorites, and I'm so sad I never get to play this game more often. It's just not a game that appears in other packs I actually play often. In Drawful, everybody is tasked with drawing something that matches a silly prompt that's given to each player. However, true to the name, the game expects your drawings to suck. Case in point, no eraser. If you make a mistake, too bad! Then players are tasked to come up with a little title to go along with the drawing. Then finally, people have to guess which title is the real title to the awful drawing. So this game is basically Fibbage meets Pictionary. That's not bad at all. This game is really fun. I do have one minor complaint about this game. I understand why they never want to have an eraser for this game. The drawings are meant to end up sucking dick, and I understand that with most people playing on their tiny iPhones, an eraser option would just kind of complicate things. However, I really think this game would have really benefited from an undo button. Even if it's limited to only one undo per change, I think an undo button would really go a long way. That's a pretty minor complaint. Drawful is really fun, going to the top of the ranking. Well, this game starts off with having a pretty unique gimmick. The game supports by far the most amount of players per game, 100 total players. So in theory, this game would work really well for streamers. Unfortunately, this game is extremely simple. Basically, you're just given a fact and you have to decide whether or not it's true or false. That's it. While I appreciate how accessible this game is to join in and play, it's honestly just too simple for my friends and I to enjoy. Not to mention, this game just keeps on fucking going for far too long. I like this game more than You Don't Know Jack, but not much more than that. Okay, this is a weird one. This is, by all accounts, a stupid ass game, but I kinda love it. Basically, the first player is tasked with putting in a word. Let's go with trash. Then the next player types in a word adjacent to it, like MelanyMiku. Then players vote on whether or not they like the answer, and if it's accepted, it's added to the word chain. If it's not, it's booted out and moves on to the next player. That's it. This game is somehow even simpler than Lice Water. There is virtually no theming to this game, unlike the other Jackbox games, which makes this game feel really void of any personality. And yet, I honestly loved playing this game. I think this game's objectively really fucking shit if I look at it critically. Like, there's very little to this game, but when I look at it in terms of how much enjoyment I got from this game, then yeah, it's one of the peaks of this pack. Like, my friends and I laughed our fucking asses off at this game. And some of the answers we put into this, I can't show out of fear of age restriction. Sorry. Honestly, if you own this pack, I'd say give it a try with friends, as you might like it. But I can imagine a lot of people being bored to tears by this game. I'm putting this game above Lice Water. Wow, this pack kinda stunk in comparison to the newer ones. Like, I definitely had some fun with this pack, Drawful and Fibbage being most notable, but man, Party Pack 1 is just flat out not worth buying in 2024. Maybe back in 2014 when this game released, this would have been something to give a shit about, but as it is now in 2024, there's better things to play from this series. Here's hoping Party Pack 2 is where the series gets good. This game is kind of similar to Word Spud in the sense that while I really think this game sucks, I did have some fun with it, but this is a way lamer version of Word Spud. So in this game, you're given a prompt. Then players are tasked to choose some sounds that match that prompt. Okay, so this game can actually be kind of funny. This game only really works if you have a group of people to play with that's actually kind of compatible with it. Like, some groups of people will just not vibe with this game. It's not for everybody. But that being said, even in groups of people where this humor will appeal to people, they kinda ruin this game with its judging mechanic. This game should really just have players vote on which sound is best, and the one with the most votes wins. Making it so only the one player who's the judge really just kills the game. It doesn't matter ultimately if everyone else in the room finds it funny except for the judge. It doesn't matter what everyone else thinks. One person decides the winner. Like, that just kills the game for me. This game sucks. I'm putting this game above You Don't Know Jack, but below Word Spud. A new and improved version of Fibbage. So this game is pretty much just the exact same as Fibbage 1, but with a few minor tweaks. There's a bunch of new questions to go through, which is nice to see. They lowered the minimum amount of players needed for a game, this time being only 2 players. And notably, they added a defibrillator. Basically, this button will have all the options except for 1 lie and 1 truth. There's not much more else to say on this one. Obviously, I'm just gonna put this one above Fibbage XL. Okay, yeah, this game's kind of a train wreck. So in this game, all the players are tasked with drawing a painting to match a prompt. Then the game will auction off each player's painting. You have to do your best to make sure you bid according to how much each painting is worth. You'll get information on your screen of how much some paintings are worth, labeled by their original prompts. If you make a profit, good for you. If not, you suck. In between each round, you can get a loan from the bank, from loan sharks, that's actually what they are, for some fast cash. Honestly, this game would be a decent, albeit tedious and forgettable game if it wasn't for a few issues. 1. This game is slow and goes on forever. Like, this game goes on at a fucking snail's pace and just never seems to end at times, especially if you have a large group of people like I did, and this game has long ass transitions too. Like, okay, I thought this introduction for the loan sharks was kind of cute the first time, but after the millionth time I heard a variation of it, it just got really fucking annoying to listen to. Not to mention, my group and I honestly had way more fun just being jerks to one another and bidding way over the worth of the paintings at times. In which, yeah, fun is fun, but it's honestly not a good sign when it's more fun to play the game the wrong way. This game honestly just kinda sucks to me. If you already have Party Pack 2 open on your computer, I suppose you may as well try this, but otherwise, I'd say skip this one. Putting this one above Lice Water, but below Words Bud. Yeah, this is by far the best game we've played today. I'm sure most are already aware of how to play this game, but just in case, in Quiplash, players are given a pair of prompts, then have to come up with the funniest answer for each prompt. Then your answer for the prompt is put up against another player who had the same prompt. Then players have to vote on who had the better answer. It's really chaotic and fun and can be a blast to play with friends. I have probably laughed more playing Quiplash than I have the entire rest of my life combined, which is honestly kind of sad. But god, I love this game. Additionally, if you get a prompt that has you utterly stumped, there is an option to select a safety quip, where the game will generate a random ass answer. These answers usually suck though, and you only get half the amount of points for these, but it's there as sort of a last resort. I do wish though, if you end up running out of time to answer, it would just automatically input a safety quip, as, well, something's better than nothing. But it's no big deal. The last thing to discuss about this game is the final round, where everyone is given the same prompt to answer, and everyone has to vote on their top 3 answers. Honestly, while I prefer the idea of just the final round being just another normal round, this can be a fun last hurrah for the game. I really love Quiplash. It's always a safe bet game to bring out for you and your friends to play. Any party pack with a Quiplash is automatically elevated in my eyes. Or optionally, there's a version of Quiplash sold on its own if you just want Quiplash, but I don't need to review that one. We're only talking about the games in the party packs. We're not going into one-off games. Anyways, I'm putting this game all the way at the top of the ranking. Basically, another form of keep talking and nobody explodes. In this game, you and up to 3 additional players have to work together to defuse a bomb. However, the instructions are spread across everyone's devices. It's a very different type of game than what's normally expected of a Jackbox game. While most Jackbox games are humor-based comedy party games, this is a team-based puzzle game. This game kinda therefore becomes the black sheep of the series, and I feel like when you and your friends sit down to play Jackbox, this isn't exactly the type of game the people in the room will be up to. And that's honestly a shame because the game is really cool. It's funny, addicting, but stressful in a good way. I would advise against playing the story mode of this game though, as it becomes really annoying in a way to constantly be stopped by the game for a cutscene. Albeit, I do love the atmosphere and theming of this game. The pixel art style and the general office vibe is really fun. While I probably preferred some of the other games much more than this one, I'm gonna mark this one as being above Fibbage 2. I think I personally still would rather play Fibbage, but Bomb Corp is a really fun co-op game that deserves some love. Honestly, quite a step up from Jackbox 1. Still think only 3 of these games are really worth playing, as the other 2 are just kind of filler titles in terms of playing them with friends, but I could see some value in buying this game if you see it for really cheap. However, I feel like there may be some better Jackbox games in terms of value. With that, let's finally jump into Party Pack 3. I'm quite familiar with this one already, and I'm quite fond of it, so let's see how this pack stacks up. I noticed that when playing with others, people absolutely either love this game or absolutely despise it. Personally, I'm in the camp that absolutely loves it. However, I do understand the camp that doesn't. This game tasks you with drawing pictures to be put on hypothetical t-shirts, followed by writing funny random captions. You then need to combine the two to create a funny t-shirt, as voted on by all the players. It has a bit of a lengthy setup that I have seen as a turnoff for some, but personally, I view it as totally worth it. I will say your group definitely drives the comedic potential of this game far more than most other games. I know most of these games are like that, but with this one being an art-based game and quip-based game, you really do need a funny group. Additionally, I do have some minor complaints about this game. Namely, I really hate that if you run out of time while drawing, the game doesn't automatically submit your drawing. Like, this may seem minor, but this has honestly ruined several games I've played just because it's like this. But otherwise, this is a really fun comedic game that I often find my friends and I dying of laughter at. You can even at the end buy some shirts that you made. And the best part is, there's no issues with shipping at all. I've bought a few, but I always find that the comedy of the shirts I buy dies off by the time I get the shirt in the mail. But that's not really the game's fault, more so just my lack of comedic ability. Regardless, this is a really fun game. I'm putting this one above Drawful. Well, I've already talked about how I like Quiplash XL a lot, and I have played Quiplash 2 probably the most out of all the Quiplashes, so it may be a shocker to hear that I'm not really huge on Quiplash 2. Don't get me wrong, it's still Quiplash, it's fun. There are fun things here like the ability to do a custom game with custom player-made questions, but what ruins this game for me is the final round. XL's final round was cool, simply just giving everyone the same prompt to answer. In Quiplash 2, the final round is different and can be one of a few things, and they're all really fucking lame, especially Acrolash. For this, while I love this game as being Quiplash, again, I'm gonna put this one below Quiplash XL. This is a fun one. This game features you and your friends in a haunted mansion being asked several trivia questions. If you get it right, you move on to the next round, unharmed. But getting one wrong sends you to the killing floor. On the killing floor, all the players who got the previous trivia question wrong are tasked with a minigame. This can be anything from a game of chalices, where players poison a chalice and you must choose the chalice without any poison, to rapid fire questions, to even cutting off one of your fingers, which for the gameplay means losing access to one of the answers per round. At the end of the game, it's basically a mad dash for who can get the most trivia right and to get to the end of the hall. This includes all of the dead people in the game, as if you died in the game, you can revive yourself in this section to win. I really like this game. This is definitely a trivia heavy game, as specified in the title, so I do understand if you're not a fan of trivia, this one probably won't do much for you. But even if you can just tolerate trivia, this is a really fun, tense game I strongly recommend. Also, I really love the theming and atmosphere of this game, putting this one above Bomb Corp. Okay, so right off the bat, I need to acknowledge one thing. This is a game that doesn't really work over Discord unless everyone has their cameras on, and even then, that's not a perfect solution. So this is a game I can only recommend if you do it in person. It's a shame this one is so tricky to play, being limited to couch play only, but I can assure you this game is fun. So each round, everyone is given a simple instruction on their phone. Say, let's go with worn a cheerleading outfit as an example. Everyone is given the instruction to raise their hands if they've worn one, except for the faker. The faker is just told to either raise their hand or not, and then depending on how they explain themselves upon finding out afterwards what the question was, the players have to decide who fakes it. It's a really fun game. I know it's easy to draw comparisons to the funny Spaceman game, but honestly, and don't tell anybody, but I think I like this game more than that one. I played all these games on Discord with my friends, and while it's definitely doable over Discord for this game, it was a definite challenge. For that, I sadly have to rank this one pretty low, being just above Fibbage 2. However, don't take that as this game is shit. It's not at all. I love it. The circumstances to play it though are a little too demanding though, sadly. Jackbox 3 is shaping up to be a really awesome pack, but let's see if we can finish out strong with this game. This definitely isn't the best game in the world, but for what it was trying to accomplish, I do like it. In this game, a player is tasked with guessing the exact percentage of a certain statistic, and then the rest of the players have to guess if it's higher or lower than the selected statistic. Afterwards, they reveal the results and move on. While unlike other games we've played so far, this isn't the funniest game of all time, and it doesn't leave me roaring with laughter, it's definitely an interesting and fun game that is accessible enough to be played by anybody. I do have to bring into question a lot of the sources for these statistics, as a lot of the time after learning the truth behind a statistic, all we could really do is just sit there and be like, that doesn't sound right. According to the Jackbox website, these statistics came from within the Jackbox Games company, which at first you go, huh, damn, okay. But then if you do a little bit of Googling, you'll realize that as of 2020, Jackbox Games has only 40 employees. So all of this data is likely coming from just 40 people, unless there's another source for these statistics that they're not specifying. However, there is another mode to this that I sadly didn't have the means to try. If you have a large amount of people in the audience members can actually take polls to influence the statistics, which is really, really fun. So with everything said and done, I quite like this game. However, the only reason I'm ever going to play this one again is if I just happen to have Party Pack 3 open again, which, given how awesome Party Pack 3 has been, I likely will. Jackbox 3 is easily the best one we've played yet. I have already thoroughly played through this one, but for what it's worth, I don't remember loving Guespionage as much as I did. Still, despite being clearly a bit biased in favor of this game, this is the first Jackbox pack I can easily recommend picking up, as all the 5 games are excellent. Let's hopefully keep the good times rolling with Jackbox 4. I'm kinda shocked at just how much Fibbage we've seen so far, damn. See, originally playing this one through, I couldn't figure out what the hell made this game any different than Fibbage 2. That was until I tried its sister mode. Fibbage, enough about you, where you are now tasked questions about your friends and peers you're playing with. This does have some drawbacks, like it does take a lot longer to get set up with giving the game your truths and lies. And if you don't know everyone very well in here, this game is just a no-go. But if you know everyone you're playing with rather well, then I gotta say, this is the definitive Fibbage experience, and I love this game. Putting this game far above the rest of the series. Putting this above Trivia Murder Party. Going into this game, I didn't really have much to say on this, as I never really played or liked this one. However, after playing this game a little bit with some friends, this is genuinely one of the funniest Jackbox games I've ever played. Fake news and outrage is this game's thing. Each round, players will be asked a random opinion-based question, then, without context, your answer is sent to another player, and they have to combine that answer with outrageous context to make the first guy look insane. Then players vote on the best one. This is a really fun game, holy hell. Apologies if some of the answers on screen end up blurred, as some of these answers we made were a bit too edgy for YouTube, but by all accounts, this is a game worth buying a whole pack for. I'm putting this one above Fibbage 3.
I didn't expect someone to... Melany, this footage is unusable. I'm so sorry.
First off, I love this one's music and atmosphere so much. So what's the deal with this game? Dating. You have to send messages to other players to try and hook up with them in-game for points. Your goal is to try and get with another player. However, all of the players are going to have secret monster identities to give everyone special abilities that can then get you more hearts throughout the game. I don't always love this angle of the secret monster powers, as that can sometimes get a bit confusing on my end, and in a lot of ways, it's just kinda fun as is. But it does add a lot of strategy and planning in terms of how you go about each game. Also, the comedy of this game can be top notch. When you send messages to the player you end up going out with, they'll show your chat logs on screen, and that can open the door to some major comedy if you play your cards right.
So mean! I thought it was ninth grade feeling.
I poured my heart out for you!
High marks for this game. Putting this above Trivia Murder Party. Another drawing game. 2 players are simultaneously drawing, adding whatever they want to a doodle. Then players vote on who made the drawing better. Then the winning edited drawing becomes the new base drawing, and you go from there. Final round plays similarly, however this time everyone is drawing to add something to a drawing one at a time. While this game was fun, this honestly ended up being a rather forgettable game. And it's weird, drawing games are usually really fun, but I just wasn't really feeling this game. Maybe it was partially the burnout of playing so much Jackbox nightly with friends, as we'd be going 2 packs each night, but then again, this game just kind of bored my friends and I greatly. This is a fun game, but I'm likely never playing this one again. Playing this above Words Bud. Finally, we end off this pack with bracketeering. In this game, players have to answer random questions and categories. Then those answers have to fight it out in a tournament. That's kinda it. You can have a lot of fun with this game if you make your answers funny, but otherwise it's kinda boring. So funny answers only. Otherwise, it's a pretty okay game. I'll probably only ever play this game again if I have Jackbox 4 open at some point. Honestly, a pretty middle-of-the-road pack. While Survive the Internet, Fibbage 3, and Monster Seeking are really fun, the last 2 are really take it or leave it for me. But hey, if you see this game for a discount or sale, why not go for it? You'll definitely have some fun. By this point, we've played 20 games, 30 more to go. Let's move on to Jackbox 5. I don't really have very high expectations going to this one, however, given that the first game is a sequel to a game I really didn't like before. So let's brace ourselves and dive into the worst of it. Whoa, what? This game was actually pretty alright. Like, it's not amazing by any means, but by all accounts, this was an enjoyable game of Yo-No Jack. This game really fixed a lot of my little problems with the game. The transitions are quicker, humor is far less forced, the questions are more clear, the game doesn't cap you at 4 players, the controls don't suck, and the questions are really fun this time too. I'm really bad at trivia, but this was genuinely a really fun game. Not the best game ever by any means, but wow, I really like this game. I'll put this one above Civic Doodle. I'm impressed. They fixed Yo-No Jack. Another good game. First off, I love this game's atmosphere, being a bit of a homage to Twilight Zone. That's really fun. This is a fill-in-the-blank game. The objective is to try to come up with a hypothetical situation that split the room. That's a really interesting idea, to try and make people you play with be split rather than fully agreed. It's not exactly the best game ever again, but definitely worth playing a few times every so often. Putting this one below Bomb Corp. This is a cute idea that isn't executed the greatest, but still manages to be fun. This is a writing-based game where you need to come up with the funniest rhymes put up against each other in a robo-rap battle. I will say, trying to write a good, humorous rhyme isn't exactly the easiest thing in the world to do, so I will lament that you're definitely limited in terms of your writing abilities, being stuck in trying to rhyme. And when you get to the rap battle part, the text-to-speech bot doesn't exactly do the best job speaking in this game.
Oh, what's wrong? You can go, right?
This game isn't perfect, but I do at least respect it a lot and can have some dumb fun with it. This is a so-so game that can be a lot of fun. I am sadly going to rank this game kinda low, however, below Words Bud. But just like Words Bud, I had some dumb fun with this game. Honestly, this is shaping up to be a really solid pack. I feel like it's almost a shame I missed out on playing this pack. I have high hopes that the next 2 games will be just as fun, if not more fun than the last one. Okay, I think I spoke too soon. This is the worst game we played today. I don't mean the worst game of the pack, I mean the worst Jackbox game yet. This is just trash. So in Zeeple Dome, you each control one of these admittedly cute characters by slingshotting them with your device. You all play simultaneously, meaning that this is more like a standard couch multiplayer game than a Jackbox game. You'll have to defeat a bunch of monsters in the arena. Doing so will get you some cash. Whoever has the most cash wins. Okay, so where to start with the problems? Well, here's a good one. This thing controls like dick. So, this game's controlled by you directly controlling your character with a virtual joystick. But since you're controlling this through, say, a website on your phone rather than a controller, there's considerably more input lag considering it has to be processed through Jackbox's server. And not to mention, if you're playing this over Discord like my friends and I did, the people watching the Discord stream will have even more input lag. Not to mention, despite all of that, this is still a really boring game, and it goes on for so long. I will give this game one single positive comment, and it's that I love the characters you play as, and I desperately want a plushie of them. Jackbox, please, get on this. Otherwise, this is a terrible game that should be skipped if you ever play this party pack. All the way at the bottom of the ranking. Thankfully, this is a much better game. Quite possibly my favorite game of the pack. So in this game, players will submit a quirky, unique problem that will then be passed on to another player to create and present an invention that will solve that problem. Hilarity ensues.
So I've created this.
This is a very simple premise that spawns a ton of laughs. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Putting this one below Fibbage 3. Really fun stuff. You know, not gonna lie, aside from Zeeple Dome, this is an underrated gem of a pack. Patently Stupid is clearly the highlight, but all these games are quite solid. None of these are contenders for the best Jackbox games, but you really can't go wrong with this pack if you see it for a good price. We are officially halfway done with this marathon. Only 5 more packs to go through, and 25 more games. Alas, it is time to try Jackbox Party Pack 6. I don't know anything about this one going in, so let's hope for the best. Well, this is a nice facelift. This is basically just the original, but with new minigames and small tweaks. The minigames on here are insane, from a game of Prisoner's Dilemma to a tattoo game, to even just a round of Quiplash. Yeah, honestly, this is just Trivia Murder Party, but expanded, so I'm gonna put this one above the original. Oh, this one is fun. Role Models is a game in which you and your friends have to match yourself and everyone else into specific roles within the category. Like for example, we got Star Wars characters, and everyone was basically asked to kin assign the other players. Then based on everyone's votes going off the majority rule, someone gets assigned that role. And if you're wondering, I got Princess Leia. Then afterwards, you'll get awards based on what roles you got assigned. This gives me a lot of Fibbage 3 vibes, and I love this game so much. This is a game that really does require you to know the people you play with very well, but if you can do that, this is an excellent game. I'm definitely coming back to this game. This is a new favorite for me, putting this one above Drawful. This is quite literally a game that just tasks you to come up with the best jokes. After presenting the joke you make, your joke goes up against another player's joke for players to vote on who had the better joke. Afterward, for the final round, you get the opportunity to rewrite your peer's joke. This is a rather solid but simple game. I love the theming a lot. I'm sorry I don't get to mention the theming in these games more, but this is a case where the theming is just stellar. I'm not sure what else to say on this game. This goes below Guespionage. Nice stuff. This game is pretty fun. This is a game where you have to define brand new words, and then come up with a synonym and use it in a sentence. Players then have to vote on whose definition of the word is better. This is a really fun, simple game. I do wish there was a more interesting presentation to the game, as this game has a pretty plain presentation. But otherwise, this can be good fun. Thumbs up from me. Not the greatest game ever, but worth playing. Putting this above Faking It. This is basically Among Us before Among Us hit it big. Basically, two of the players in your group playing are secretly alien, so everyone has to work together carefully to try and uncover the truth of who's an alien and who's safe. Like Among Us, this game can be very stressful, but also very fun. Some of the tests to prove a player is human can play out similarly to Faking It, others, like a drawing game. This is a very unique and ambitious game, and honestly, I think I like this game more than Among Us. I will note you need a decently large group to make this work, at least 5 players, but preferably more, as any less and the challenge ceases to exist. On another positive note, God, I love the visual direction for this game. It has this almost claymation look to it. Good stuff, frankly. This is an extremely special and ambitious game that had a lot of heart and soul to it. This is a game worth playing at least once. I'm gonna put this game above Bomb Corp. Wow, I had no idea going in this would have been one of the most consistently solid Jackbox games. All of these are at least worth playing once. This is a banger of a game. If Dictionarium is the weakest link of the pack, and it's still pretty fun, you know we're in for a good time. Well, time to move back to a pack I have played before, Jackbox Party Pack 7. This is one I think of very highly, so let's see if I stand by that opinion. Well, this is an improvement from the second one. First off, wow, I love the art style so much. I love the claymation art style to pieces. This is fantastic. Additionally, the final round is way better than Quiplash 2. This time, you need to give 3 answers for 1 prompt. I think I do still prefer everybody getting the same prompt, but this is still a pretty solid final round. This goes under Quiplash XL, but above Quiplash 2. This is the only game in this pack that I hadn't played beforehand, and it's quite a shame. This is also really good. This is more of a co-op type game. In this game, you play as a family of devils trying to take on the roles of the average family, and you all have to take on a series of tasks. Many of these require you to coordinate with other family members, while some are individual. The ones you have to work together with a family to do can get really chaotic, as everyone will be yelling over each other and shit. Additionally, there's a bunch of selfish tasks you can do that will increase your family score, will boost your individual score. However, the drawback is that if you or others are constantly doing selfish tasks, it'll risk the house going up in flames that the family has to put out. However, you can stop family members from being selfish, and they can stop you. This is an extremely chaotic, fun puzzle co-op game that I had a blast playing. It's really a shame I hadn't played this one before, as this may be a new favorite of mine. I'm putting this one below Push the Button. Good friend.
Yeah.
Did the game just crash? The game just crashed. This game is awesome. So in this game, players will have to draw a character that'll be the champion of something. Then you have to draw a challenger, a champion to go up against another champion. Then they have to go up against one another, and players have to vote on which one is better. This is an extremely fun drawing game. Even if you don't have that much artistic power to you, this is a game I feel anyone can play and make something funny that'll get tons of laughs. In subsequent rounds, you can even call back your previous drawings to fight again, which can be really funny as well. This is another favorite of mine. I'm playing this one right below role models. I love this game. Basically, you're tasked with giving a presentation. One person will be the speaker and actually speak through this presentation. Another person will be the assistant. The assistant will actually make the slides. Everyone else is responsible for voting if the presentation is currently good or bad by tapping on the up and down arrows on their device. This game can be really fun at times. However, this is a game that really hinges on the improv abilities of you and your friends. For example, I can improv something for this game pretty well. However, other people may not be able to do that and will end up stumbling through the whole thing. Also, not everyone will have the public speaking abilities to pull this one off well. It's a shame there's a few barriers for enjoyment, because this is a really smart game that lets you improv to your friends very effectively. One of my favorite parts is at the end, you and your friends have to give each other awards for their efforts. And you even get to name your awards. You can have a lot of unhinged fun with that. Putting this one right below Patently Stupid. Albeit, I probably like these two equally. Ahoy! My name's Melany. I don't need luck because I have a gun, and I'm not afraid to use it, so everyone put your fucking hands up. The final game in the pack. Another solid one, though it's definitely the weakest of the pack. In Blather rounds, you're tasked with trying to describe something to the other players using very limited words and phrases that the game gives you. The rest of the players have to then guess what it is. It's a very simple game, almost to its downfall, but thankfully Blather round gives you just barely enough ability to describe your topic. Though from my experience, some people will just be brain dead and fail miserably to describe the prompt. Regardless, good game. Worst of the pack though, right below Joke Boat. Wow, this may just be the best Jackbox since Party Pack 3. I'm impressed they've managed to keep the quality up this long. This is easily a game worth buying. Additionally, if you own a modern game console, try to seek out the physical copies of Jackbox 7. Yeah, for some reason, Jackbox 7 got a physical release in 2021. I say try to seek these versions out specifically because you can find copies of these games for cheap. Right now on Amazon, you can buy a PS4 version of Jackbox 7 for only $8. That is a steal for a pack this good. The other platforms can typically hover around the $10 to $15 range, which is also a great deal. So, for the cheap price of a physical copy, I'd say Jackbox 7 is the one to get if you can only get one Jackbox game. Oh, and also I just figured I'd mention this here, but for some reason, Jackbox 1 also got a physical release for the 7th and 8th generation Xboxes and PlayStation. This goes for about $20 to $30 though, so unless you're a collector, maybe just stick to the digital releases of this one, or just skip Jackbox 1 altogether. Anyways, let's continue this with Jackbox 8. I have high hopes that they can keep this momentum going. Well, given how much I loved the original Drawful, I'm a bit let down with this one. Drawful anime is very similar to the original, except instead of making one shitty drawing, you gotta make a simple GIF. The gameplay is otherwise the same as the original, but wow, animation does not lend itself too kindly to Drawful. It just kinda slows the game down and makes the whole thing a bit more tedious. Drawful worked so well because it was a simple pick up and play game that anyone could have gotten a feel for. It's not like the original Drawful went at Sonic speed in terms of pacing, but oh my god, this is just slow. There's another game mode I like, called Friend Mode, where the prompts are based on people in your group. This is a lovely idea that is sadly wasted in this game. Such a shame. I'm putting this beneath Fibbage XL. This game started off pretty alright. At its core, it's a decent little trivia game. At the start of the game, everyone is asked for a question they want answered. Then you jump into a bunch of trivia questions. This is where problem 1 begins. The trivia questions have way too many options, and it gets a bit overwhelming to sift through. Not to mention, some of the trivia just felt kinda dated. Like, the trivia questions feel like they're from the original You Don't Know Jack PC and PS1 games. And I do not say that as a compliment. Then you get to the wheel spinning part, where everyone has to bet on slices of a wheel to get points. Then this happens again and it just keeps going on and on. This game is so f***ing slow and it takes forever to get through. Nobody in the group was having any fun with this game. This game reeks. Not to mention, the wheel host guy, who was kind of charming at first, quickly became one of the most annoying characters I have ever bore witness to in a Jackbox party pack. This is a terrible game. Playing this game just before Zeeple Dome, By all accounts, Dome is a worse game, but I had way less fun playing Wheel. Dome at least had a nice art style and character design. Sure, the game itself sucked, but there's at least something I liked about Dome. I don't think there's a single thing I liked about Wheel. Despite that, again, I'm putting this game slightly above Dome. Okay, after that train wreck, I'm happy to say that this is a really fun game. Everyone's going for a job interview. First, you have to answer some icebreaker questions. Then, the words in the sentence are shuffled and sent to another player to write answers to the interview questions, using only the words on the screen. Afterward, the answers are put up against one another for people to vote on their favorites. Winner gets points. This is a really creative game that I had a blast playing with friends. After playing Wheel of Enormous Proportions, this game reminded me just how fun Jackbox games can be. And not to mention, I love the host of this game a lot. I'm playing Job between Split the Room and bracketeering. Good stuff. I genuinely think this game was my friends and I's breaking point. I won't dock points from this game consciously for this, but to give some context, every night for the past few days, I've rounded up my friends into a Discord call every night to try and get through 2 party packs each night. And after a few days of constantly doing this game fucking broke us. It's not terrible either, it's actually a decent concept for a game. The people you play with are split into 2 teams. Then y'all are asked a question on the poll. Afterward, the 2 teams need to figure out how the entire group voted and escape a cave with that knowledge. This is a fun idea for a game, giving me some guespionage vibes. My issues with this game come back to, again, this being a very slow-paced game. And the surveys you're given, well, they're fun surveys, but they give so many options and it forces the game to be dragged out. And it goes on for far too many rounds. It's a shame because it's a solid concept for a game. I'm playing this one below Drawful Animate. However, again, keep in mind my friends and I have a bias with how this game just kind of broke us. So after Pole Mine, my friends and I all decided we needed to take a break for a few days from Jackbox because we could tell we were just running out of gas to keep playing. So we're going into this game with a clear head. This is a murder mystery type game. At the start of the game, players are asked to draw 2 weapons. I mean literally draw. The template for drawing has a letter of your name in it. You'll need to hide it in your drawing. Then from there, everyone has to compete to get away with the most murders. You have to all try to murder accomplices other players brought with them by solving a quick deduction puzzle on your device. Afterwards, all the players have to work together to investigate the murders that were done. This game's enjoyable, I won't deny that at all, but my god is this one ever convoluted. It's kind of like one of those overly complicated board games you try to get your friends to play with as kids, but nobody would ever want to play ball. If you can get past it all, it's a fine enough game, but by lord this game's convoluted. Wow, Jackbox 8 sucked, especially coming off the coattails of Jackbox 7. I was thinking they'd have managed to make another solid little Jackbox game, but wow, this genuinely may be the worst Jackbox pack yet. Only one of these games, I would argue, is genuinely worth playing, that being Job. And while I do like Job, it's still a pretty middle-of-the-road game in terms of quality. Not to mention, at this point, I'm starting to notice just how overly complicated these games are starting to get. Even looking back on Jackbox 7, I like games like Devils in Details, but it's still a far cry from games like Survive the Internet or Quiplash in terms of simplicity. I'm not saying I want every game to be bitch simple, not at all, but I think we need a happy medium between that and this. And games like Wheel or Pole Mine were just painful in how they just kept going on and on. Well, let's just hope going into Party Pack 9, we have better games to go through. Holy shit, I didn't think these games could get any worse, but lo and behold, Quicksort. This is awful. This is a trivia-based game that has players split into teams and have to sort multiple trivia answers in proper order based on the prompt. That's it. That may not sound bad, but oh my god, I have a laundry list of problems. Number 1, I hate the presentation. It's so bland and generic and boring. It feels corporate and lifeless. Number 2, I'll admit my friends and I are likely not the best at trivia at all, but some of these trivia questions are really specific. We're on topics that just nobody in my group would know. 3, even if you do know, chances are not everyone in your group will know the answer. But if you or others in your group know other than the chosen player, The game just devolves into screaming at your teammates to get the right answer. And not the game's fault, but just the fault of my group, but we had one player on each team who would just keep spacing out and not listening and end up putting in something stupid. That's how we end up with an answer like commoner at high ranking. 4. They hide fake answers within the possible answers for you to sort. And if you already don't know the trivia very well, you're just going to be fucked, and oftentimes, the game just devolves into people taking wild guesses. 5. The game goes on forever. This game goes on for upwards of 30 minutes, and that's way too long for even a good Jackbox game. No Jackbox game should ever really exceed 20 minutes total. To put into perspective just how long this game went on, we had people in the group leave to go get dinner right before this game started, and when they came back, we were only on the second round. Fuck this game. This is somehow worse than Wheel of Enormous Proportions. Ugh. Well, I suppose this is a bit of an improvement, I think, but still not great, honestly. This game requires you to draw or write something that could potentially match the statistic listed on your screen. Like, I got draw a clown that's 60% likely to squirt you with water. This game goes on for 3 rounds, which is frankly way too many. Not to mention, trying to draw or write something that matches the specific statistic is just way too hard and really tedious. I'm putting this game above You Don't Know Jack 2015. Oh my god, a fun Jackbox game? It's been so long! This game isn't even that great, but holy hell, it's at least somewhat fun. First, I love the presentation. Everyone plays as these adorable little frogs, and I love them. So the object of the game is to buy and resell items for a profit. You first buy weird and random items from a shop, then you need to write funny backstories for the items in question. Then people have to vote on which one was the funniest. This is pretty solid. At its core, this is just a simple game of trying to out-funny other players. But hey, fun is fun. I actually laughed at this game for the first time in a while playing Jackbox. This does go on a tad too long, but it's not even too bad. Good stuff, putting this right above Fibbage 2. Okay, this is the best game of the pack easily. What is this game? Essentially, a reality game show competition. Each round, each contestant faces a challenge to complete. Players can get advantages like safety, which is the equivalent to Survivor's immunity idols, and at the end of each round, somebody gets eliminated. My favorite part about eliminating players is that when a player is eliminated, they still get to keep playing, but they end up coming back to the game with a cheap disguise on their character, and their name is changed to have only one single letter changed. That's really cheeky, I love that. This game does go on for 5 rounds, which sounds like it'd be a problem, but for a game like this, 5 rounds is actually a pretty decent idea. You truly do need all 5 rounds to make the most of this game. I'm playing this game above Push the Button. I love this game a lot. Okay, so before we get to anything about this, I just have to ask, why did we get 4 Fibbages? Don't get me wrong, I quite like Fibbage, but Fibbage 1 wasn't a game I loved so much I felt like it needed 4 versions. Anyways, the big difference between this game and the last 3 is that Fibbage 4 features a new final round, where you have to write 1 lie that can apply to 2 separate questions. It's fine enough. I don't really have a strong opinion on this one either way. I suppose I'll put this one above Fibbage 3, but quite frankly, I could go either way on that. So, slight improvement, I guess, over Jackbox 8, but the highs just aren't high enough to justify how low their lows reach. Jackbox 9 is definitely better than 8, as there's more than one good game, but that is not a high bar at all. The trend of overly complicated games continues. At this point, we are a long way away from the simplicity of games like Quiplash or Drawful, and these games are now long, like way too long. Well, we're just about done with our marathon today, everyone. We're at the final party pack, Jackbox Party Pack 10. We're in the home stretch. Let's get this over with. Oh man, I love TKO. A sequel to a game I loved like that is honestly just what the doctor ordered right about now. One cute thing I love about this game that has no bearing on the rest of it is that all the playable characters you can choose are throwbacks to the hosts of previous classic Jackbox games. I mean, at this point, this is in fact the 10th party pack, so some self-indulgence like that is fair and earned. Anyways, TKO 2. This game is far improved from the last one. You get to draw more drawings this time around. If you run out of time while drawing, the game will auto-submit. You have more options than ever while making shirts. You can even change what type of shirt you want to make, which is rad. Following rounds now also lets you edit other people's drawings to make all new drawings from it, which is fun. Shirts facing off against one another is more streamlined. This game very likely could have gone to the #1 spot, or at least #2. However, there is one problem that sadly drags down this game massively. TKO is really buggy and glitchy. Drawing on my iPad, my boyfriend and I encountered several issues with drawing. Lagging or selecting part of a web page. Typing in captions, sometimes pressing the spacebar would just auto-erase the entire caption you had written. When we finished the game and we were waiting for shirts we made to get to the order screen on our devices, the game just froze and we almost lost all the shirts we had made. This is really a shame. This is a fantastic game, but it's so sadly and strongly bogged down by technical problems we encountered throughout the whole game. I hope these get patched. But until then, sadly, I'm only playing this game slightly above TKO 1. One last thing, to commemorate this marathon I put myself through, I decided to buy the winning 2 shirts, which both have to have drawings of me on them. I decided to get one of them as a piss yellow tank top for some reason. Funny, right? Well, here's an interesting game. It's a co-op rhythm game. Now to preface something, I am awful at rhythm games. I have very little hand-eye coordination. So rhythm games are not something I'm very good at as a whole. So keep that in mind, I'm absolutely going to suck ass at this game. That being said, this is at least different and respectable. Now, a rhythm game over Jackbox sounds like it'd be awful, right? Considering this is a game about timing perfectly, any latency could just kill this game. However, they have a wonderful workaround to fix that. You have to manually sync up this game. It works really well too. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong, as some of my friends reported dropped notes and unregistered inputs, but it works for the most part. From there, your opinion on this game is gonna go down on whether or not you like rhythm music games like Project Diva or Guitar Hero. I will say, the game does its best to make sure it's accessible to every type of player, even those who aren't into music games like this. They have instruments ordered from easy to hard, and some of the easy ones are really silly and amusing, like Constant Screaming, Alarm Clock, and Nature's Bugle. There's a decent little song selection here too. Stay tuned for the outro of this video too. I'll let y'all hear an excerpt of the MelanyMiku's cover of Flight of the Bumblebee on Nature's Bugle. If you're not a music game fan, this is gonna be a silly diversion and not much else. But if you and your friends love music games, namely mobile music games like Project Sekai, this is gonna be a wonderfully lovely time. Me personally, it's fine enough. I'm playing this above Split the Room. Okay, this is a year-based trivia game. They'll ask a trivia question and you have to guess as closely as possible the year of that trivia. Weirdly, this game uses a system like golf where the lowest score wins, which is very strange to me. It works, it's not bad or anything, but it's kind of just a strange choice. Other than that, this is absolutely a game for history buffs in the group. Too many of the questions rely on you having remembered the lessons from your high school social studies class, or having been alive at that designated time period and just happen to remember it. It's a very cute idea for a trivia game, but I think I would have liked it more and done better in this game had the trivia been more pop culture based rather than history based questions. Still, not a bad game, just not for me. Playing this below Fibbage XL. An interesting idea for a game. So in this game, you have to answer and rewrite text messages for somebody to try and scare this person off. You're split up into teams, and that's probably for the best, as that'll make playing a little less chaotic. Playing this game can be a blast, as people can just go hog wild and put in the wildest shit possible for this. There is one strange choice, being that you can't backspace. Kinda Drawful-esque, it's not bad at all, but personally, I would have liked to have a backspace. Maybe make it limited to only one word that can be erased or something, I don't know. But otherwise, this is a fine enough game. Nowhere near the best game of all time, but a decent addition. Alas, we have finally reached our final game of this marathon. Let's hope we go out on a good one. Players in this game are to assume new identities. Then they need to answer questions as that character. Then everyone has to work together to figure out which groups they belong to based on everyone's clues and answers. But One person in the group is secretly an outlier. Nobody knows who that is, however. Not even the outlier. The outlier is the person in the group that absolutely does not fit in with anybody else. Everyone then has to just guess. Well, this isn't the greatest game ever. It's not awful. It's honestly just mid. The worst part about this game though is its length. The game is just randomly doubled in length to be longer than it should be. You get to the end of the first round and assume that one round was the whole game, but it's actually just straight up one round and you have to go through the whole game again for round 2. That was really annoying. It's only 2 rounds thankfully, but it was really annoying to be wrapping up this game and have to keep on going. Well, ladies, gentlemen, and anyone in between, we've made it. We've played through all 50 Jackbox Party Pack games. Going in, I was gonna assume this would be a pretty painless marathon, but oh my god, I was wrong. After Jackbox 7, these games took a massive nosedive in quality. Jackbox 10 was slightly better than 9, which was slightly better than 8. But that's not saying much, considering a lot of those only had a few okay games, and the rest were not very great to just straight up awful. In terms of ranking the individual party packs, from best to worst it goes 8, 9, 1, 10, 2, 5, 6, 4, 3, 7. I think packs 3 and 7 are pretty interchangeable in terms of quality. I could really go either way. If there's any packs to pick up, 7, 3, 4, and 6 are likely your best options. Any of the others, if you see them on sale for a decent price, and there's a game or two you're interested in trying, go for it. But now, it is time for us to rank every single individual game from worst to best. Now I do want to say, these are all just my opinions. So if a game you liked is lower than you'd put it, or you disagree with me, just keep in mind, this was just my experience. If you love games like Quicksort or Zeepeldome, more power to you. Also, except for like the bottom 8 games or so, most of the games on the ranking are at least solid little games. It's really only those last 8 games I truly say are awful or bad. The rest are at least middle of the road 5 out of 10 ranked games. So, without further ado, starting from bottom, we have Zeepeldome, Quicksort, Wheel of Enormous Proportions, You Don't Know Jack 2015, Nonsensory, Earwax, Lieswater, Bidiots, Hypnotorious, Madverse City, Wordspud, Civic Doodle, You Don't Know Jack Full Stream, Pull Mine, Drawful Animate, Weapons Drawn, Time Jinx, Fibbage XL, Fibbage 2, Junktopia, Fixie Text, Fakin' It, Dictionarium, Blather Round, Joke Boat, Guespionage, Bracketeering, Job, Split the Room, Dodo Rami, Bomb Corp, The Devil's in the Details, Pushed Button, Rumerang, Trivia Murder Party 2, Monster Seeking Monster, Talking Points, Patently Stupid, Fibbage 3, Fibbage 4, Survive the Internet, Drawful, Champed Up, Role Models, TKO, TKO 2, Quiplash, Quiplash 3, Quiplash XL. Well, we did it. We have officially ranked and reviewed every single Jackbox Party Pack game. This was a massive undertaking, but I'm so glad I did it. This is easily the longest video I have ever made. I just want to take a moment to earnestly and genuinely thank you all so much if you made it to the end of this long ass video. I'm a small channel trying to grow, doing these videos for fun out of my own pocket. So whether or not you even like this video, I sincerely thank you for humoring me throughout this video. I also want to thank all my friends who joined me for helping me get this video done by playing all these games with me. Thank you all so much for everything. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving this video a like, sharing it around, or even subscribing if you feel so inclined. As I've said before, I'm a small channel that's trying to grow, and this was a massive undertaking of a project. So any support will be massively appreciated. Additionally, if you're interested, I have more videos about other games and other adjacent topics if you're interested. Thanks so much everyone for watching, I hope you all enjoyed, and to send us out, please enjoy the cover my friends and I did and Dodo Rami of Flight in the Bumblebee, entirely played on Nature's Bugle.